Hello, welcome to my Module 4 presentation over Understanding My Community. My community is Garden Plain, Kansas. This is for EDL 856, School and Community Relations, Dr. Moody. It is June 2022. My name is Dan Adelhart, and we're covering Program Learning Outcome 5. The history background of Garden Plain centers around agriculture. The historians say that approximately 1875 is the start due to the first post office being established in this area. It was a stopping point on the Santa Fe Railroad. Garden Plain is approximately 20 miles west of Wichita, although I think it's less than that because Wichita has grown. It is 4 miles west of Goddard, and like I said, it was a stopping point on the railroad between Wichita and Cheney. The demographics of Garden Plain: it is an educated community. 95% have at least a high school diploma. The median age is over 34.7, and it is very evenly divided in gender. It is a largely white community with 2% Hispanic or other. The economic conditions of Garden Plain has a lot to do with agriculture. So when agriculture is up or down, the community is impacted. Land value right now is high, which means that property taxes revenue remains high as well, which is good for school. The biggest problem or concern when talking about our district and specifically Garden Plain is affordable housing. The proximity to Wichita allows many people to commute. We are in a district, a combined district with Andale, and we recently completed a bond construction. And COVID-19 repercussions, beside the spring of 20, in which all schools were shut down, we have been in school every single day. We had masks the first time, but we were in school. Nothing was virtual, and we were one of the first schools to put masks away as well. The largest employers besides agriculture and education include Fisher Lumber, which Garden Plain is really known for, and anything dealing with the Becker Brothers and Farmers Co-op. The Booster Club, parent-teacher organizations are the two main parent groups that do an amazing job supporting the community, supporting the kids at school and the schools in general. Church groups are included in that, and we have a senior citizen center. Communication in Garden Plain is via, like most communities, the broadband media, TV, radio, newspaper, and also social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The Rural Messenger actually is the #1 newspaper for Garden Plain, and I would say that if you read a newspaper, that's the one you probably use. The Chamber of Commerce does a nice job having a Facebook page, and I see people on Twitter talking about Garden Plain. The extent of the usage of it kind of goes back to what is the population. You know, older people do use the newspaper and younger people do use the social media. Leadership in Garden Plain. We have a city council, and from the city council is the mayor. There are other various committee members, and the Chamber of Commerce, business leaders, religious leaders, and school leaders also are considered leaders of our community. Our political system of government: we do have a mayor and a city council. They are elected every 2 years. If there's a primary, it's in August. If not, the general election is in November. Our previous community efforts, as I spoke earlier, the bond issue was passed and recently completed. COVID slowed things down, but Andale got things. Garden Plain received some things. Colwich, which is in our district, St. Mark's, which is in our district, they all received bond issue projects. There are park additions, things that make it more enjoyable for people to come, like frisbee golf and now pickleball. Just recently, we worked with the state and local governments to improve our sidewalks and school zones in between our high school and our middle schools. Our customs and traditions at Garden Plain. It is a very, very community-based town. Independence Day, the 4th of July, is huge. We have a big parade. People go to the park then, and it's an all day affair with fireworks at night. There's also Christmas Bazaar in November and a big tree lighting for the community. The Sedgwick County Fair is in Cheney, which is just 8 miles away or so, so that's a big thing. Harvest is part of the tradition as well. Many things are centered around wheat harvest, and it's very, kids are included in activities and a lot of sports and things, but harvest is something that they can't miss, and coaches need to make a decision when they're going to host camps and things like that based on when harvest is, and harvest changes. There are religious traditions as well. Kids that go to Wednesday night extra church, or they go to trips, student events, and those things are slated in the community calendar. Our Garden Plain High School homecomings are a big deal. We have one for football and basketball. Sporting events in general is a huge tradition at Garden Plain. Much of the community turn out for that. They support their athletic teams in a great way. If our teams make state contest, they kind of kid that it'd be a good time to rob Garden Plain because nobody will be there, or they say turn the lights out. Social tensions. The biggest social tension probably within our district is the two high schools. Andale's very competitive. Garden Plain is very competitive. The cultural makeup is very similar, and nobody wants to see the other team or the other school necessarily get something they don't have. And the biggest difficult tension I see is financially. The district itself is not huge, and yet it maintains 2 middle schools or 3 middle schools and 2 high schools, and just the money that is spent on facilities and keeping the lights on is it's tension for everybody. And with the prices of things going on, we are a rural community, and we run bus routes for everybody. And that in itself, the price of gas or diesel is huge, and it's something that does cause conflict. Nobody wants to lose their school, and it gets a little bit tense between. Fortunately, our schools, especially the high schools, are a little bit different size, and so that we don't play each other on a regular basis. Social acceptance. I hear this from people that, they've lived here a long time, or they haven't lived here a long time. And there are people who really feel that. They feel that unless you were born and raised in Garden Plain, you're an outsider. I've had parents talk to me in many different times, and it's a little bit, like I said, great people, outstanding generosity. Unfortunately, there is that perception. And then along with that becomes, sometimes, I know that our kids took an inventory at school, and name recognition was one of the things that people said. If you didn't have this name, then you were treated differently. Now, that is a perception that goes along with teenagers and things, but it does cause some tensions for kids. Power struggle, I would say maybe small town politics. Politics are everywhere, and like the importance of this module is to get to know who are the leaders and collaborate with everybody and build relationships. Multicultural issues. As I said, we do not have a ton of diversity, whether that be in the school where there's a little bit more, or in the community. However, I would say that our community is very aware of treating people with respect. It doesn't matter. They're very respectful. Our kids are respectful. we do have spirit days in which our kids embrace being a farm kid, and farmer days and things like that. We're very patriotic. I will say this, which goes a long way, is that we have a special needs section of our school in which we have some young people who really are struggling. They struggle mentally, physically, and our other kids do see that, and they are aware, and they're around people who struggle, and they're very, as I said, very respectful to them because of that. And so this leads me to believe that our kids, regardless of where they're at, they could be placed in a city, they could be placed in another country, they could be placed somewhere else, that they will be respectful of others, and although their diversity is a little bit limited right now. Public opinion. Our school is hugely supported by the community, including athletics and activities. There's great parent involvement. The increasing awareness is we need to make sure we get to all stakeholders and include them. From strengths to weaknesses, from weaknesses to strength. I just mentioned that our community is very, very supported by the community. However, as I put the points down on the slides, it was the community businesses and the government and their committees that had the least bullet points. And so making that an intentional effort to build community relationships and include them in the process would be beneficial for everybody. And when they benefit, we all benefit. My PLO 5 correlation. My submission correlated to PLO 5 because of my understanding of how important it is to examine and build community. Knowing stakeholders is vital when trying to build relationships. I need to do research. When that support is gained, advocating for the school and students becomes an educator, parental, and community team effort. How's it relevant? Because it strengthens my understanding of the importance of community. There are so many different communities within communities. And understanding what makes each community special and what they can offer is key to successful engagement. Finally, my personal reflection. I've become a better educator leader as a result because it's made me think about doing my homework on what makes up my school and community. I've done some of this in the past, probably needed to do more, but only scratched the surface on what a building leader should know. Understanding my community will help me and my students. My references follow. I look forward to any type of objective criticism, and continue to have a great summer. Thank you.